All right. Well, speaking of electric, Jett Lawrence is certainly somebody that's been electric at times. He just lost the red plate to Justin Cooper this weekend. But, Daniel, you and JT have been going at it heavy in one of our group texts over your feelings on Jett.
I have to ask JT a question before we get started.
Okay.
Are you messing with, do you know you're messing with me now, or are you serious? Because I think some of the things you say, I feel like you're just messing with me now.
No, I'm definitely not messing with you, but I would ask you which specifically are the things that I've said that would lead you to think that.
Because I have mentioned to you multiple times that I'm not comparing Jett to Stu, but you always have to throw a Stu stat when we're talking about this. But I've never said he's Stu, and it's I when I get the Stu text, I'm like, all right, I'm done. He's messing with me. We're not even talking anymore. He's just messing with me. He's digging.
No, but the whole thing is when you say generational talent, then you have to compare him against the generational talents that we've seen. And Stu is one that was that good, that young. So he's one that immediately comes to mind. And when you compare the two, I don't think that Jett stacks up very well to that so far.
Right.
So, yeah, the whole argument is Daniel Blair says that Jett Lawrence is a generational talent. JT says he's not, and I tend to side with JT on this.
I said it's no. I said it's too early to be making that claim. That's all. I'm not saying he's not.
That's the thing.
He is great.
I think JT and I aren't as far apart on this as you think. I think the timelines are apart. I'm a little early. I'm like, I take the leap way early, and JT is more like, hey, I need to see way more before I'm going to take the leap. I think that's really it. It's more of a timing thing. Am I right, JT? I'm early to this.
Yeah, and I think it's a little unfair to put a label on him like that because it's undue pressure. I'm more of just let it unfold. If he turns out to be one of the all-time greats, amazing, and that's awesome, and he will earn every ounce of that, and it's going to be a great story to watch. But I think labeling him that at 17 is just pressure he probably doesn't need.
If he's feeling pressure because of me,
JT,
then he's got a lot of problems. He's got a rough career coming if I can get to him.
Daniel Blair's in my head.
You're a broadcaster on television. You do the interviews with him at Supercross from 17 yards away. I don't know. I feel like you're a pretty big deal.
JT's not being as strong in his points on the show, and I don't know why.
We're being nice because JT
you guys are being nice.
Because we 99% agree.
But he's not. He's already not on Stu's level or Ricky's level. Those are generational talents. He's not on that level already.
So, and this is where my point in the whole thing is again, and it's so good that we can talk, right, JT? Because texting is harder. It's harder.
I don't want it to come across like I'm trying to say anything negative about Jett because I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm more just like, let's just pump the brakes and see how this thing goes versus saying that he's the second coming.
So my whole view on my take, the generational talent thing is you see riders come in that have impact, and you see riders that have a lot of hype, and maybe they do some things good, but some things they don't. They fizzle out. What I see from him is just somebody that we haven't seen in a while. That at that age, his birthday's the same right around where mine was. So I was still in high school. He should be in high school right now. And to be able to win 3 Supercrosses this year, the showdown, leading the points for 5 rounds, you just don't see someone at 17 often be able to do both indoor and outdoor, not only get the results, but just the way it looks. He just looks generational to me. He looks like a guy who's already been doing it for 5 years. So for me, I don't know how it's going to turn out. He could literally fizzle out and be just a what if. Or he could be one of the best we've ever seen. I don't know, but I just don't see often someone at this age, the number. Again, I know, JT, we got in the debate about the experience. He has a year on RV. He started a year earlier than RV. But at 17 years old, I just don't see people like this often. So I find him, it's my opinion, is he's a generational talent. What he does with it, I don't know. But I just don't see that often, where someone can really master in and outdoor and not be really wild and crazy. He actually looks like he knows what he's doing out there 95% of the time. So that was my whole thing. And then as the debate went on, we dug our heels in, and then all of a sudden stats came out, and then it got, then I used some bad words.
Then you started losing.
Yeah. Well, as soon as I dove into the stats, I definitely lost a little bit. But I do have some. Remember, JT, we talked about RV won as a 17-year-old. He turned 18 in August, won the title. That's pretty early. Nobody else had done that. Wilson won it at 19, but other than that, nobody since back, I mean, even before RV, had won it younger than 20. So if Jett's able to turn 18 in August, Stu would be the last one. So for me, that's like a generation. The last guy to actually be this good on paper and it looked this way was RV. That's 15 years ago. To me, in racing, that's a generation. He's a generational talent. There's no one been like that for 15 years. So that's where my whole, I guess.
Yeah, I guess for me, the timing has changed for a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys didn't turn pro as young as Jett did. And whether you want to think that's causation or correlation, that's up to you. But a lot of these guys didn't have the opportunity to start this early. Like Tomac, right? He wins his first ever outdoor. I don't think Jett was really even close to that level, right? I think maybe he got a top 10 in a moto or something like that.
Well, remember he pulled off at Budds Creek because he thought he was going to point out?
Right.
Did he pull off before the finish line? So it didn't really start great for him. He pulled off. But no, I know what you're saying is he didn't have that impact results right away, but that's, again, because he started at like 16 in 4 days or something like that. He was so young when he got his first one. So, yeah, I think it's subjective.
I guess the argument comes down to, you say we haven't really seen this very much or at all really. And I'm like, well, I would say we've seen it from Tomac. I would say you could say that with Roczen when you look at his winning in Europe and then he comes to America and is winning right away. I would argue that Roczen was there too. RV, I just think it's more common than you're saying, and that doesn't mean that Jett's any less great. I just don't think we've never seen anything like this, and he's going to rewrite every history book ever made. I'm just not there.
I don't believe that either. I guess for me, if he wins the title, if he is able to get the title, he would be in pretty rare company. It would be almost mimicking exactly Villopoto's kind of start as far as the age goes. And other than that, we haven't seen anybody under the age of 20 years old win a title in the 250 class other than Dino at 19 and RV at 18. So that's for me, that's where if he gets the title, I feel like I'll have a little bit more to stand on with my argument. If he doesn't, then he's just a really talented, flashy kid who kind of couldn't get it together. So
do you think he's head and shoulders above where Roczen was at the same age and time?
Indoors, I'd say way better, and then outdoors, probably not. But then in the same sentence, it's hard to say. Roczen never won a 250 outdoor title here, so ever.
He only raced 1 year.
Well, he had to deal with
one.
I think he only did 1 full year. Yeah.
Oh, but so I would say Supercross hands down. If you want to go and do some comparison, Trey Kennard is the only one to ever win a Supercross title. Well, not the only one, but in a long time to win under the age of 18. He won it at 17. But then outdoors took him till he was like 21 to win the outdoor title. So I'm just saying to be able to do both disciplines and be that good at 17, indoor and outdoor. And again, when I said the generational talent thing too, this is following Supercross where he just won the East-West Showdown and won 3 rounds as a 17-year-old. We don't see that a lot. AC, he came out on fire, but then it took him till he was 23 to win the outdoor title. Or 22. So I'm just saying he's rare as how good he is at the age of 17 to be able to have both disciplines pretty much mastered.
Yeah, we race Ryder D. We'll get there.
Yeah, I think Roczen and he are pretty close. This is Jett's second full year, third year of racing these races. So it's not like he just turned pro and we've never seen anything from him. He's raced quite a few races now. He's probably coming up on like 15 outdoor races or maybe more. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's not a slight against Jett. Like if you're saying that he and Roczen are on a parallel path, I think that's a compliment. Like I don't think that's a negative take on what his career path has been so far. Roczen was a world champion at like 15 or 16, however old he was.
Even Alessi's first year on KTM 250 class, that was the year he got second in the points.
Yeah,
he was 16,
but he didn't have the indoor thing figured out at all. That's what I'm saying. No. And you talk about the parallels. That's why, again, if Jett and RV, I think they're both born in August, so they're on the parallel path right now. Where if Jett does get the title, it's honestly it's almost identical to what Villopoto did at that age.
I just, man, I don't know. I guess I'm just old, and maybe I walk uphill to school both ways. But I watch Jett, and he's great, but he's no Stu, and he's no Ricky.
But think about Jett got beat straight up by Christian Craig and Colt Nichols this year. I mean, that's just how it went. Like, he got beat. Okay, Christian Craig gets hurt at the last round, but we all know that Jett was behind those guys in points. Like, they were both ahead of him and deserved to be. I don't remember a time in Stu's second full season where I watched all the races and he just wasn't the best guy, or even the second best guy. That just and that's, I know you're going back. I know you're going to get mad about the Stu thing, but that's I feel like the era that you're trying to put him into.
Well,
me too.
But I'm not, though. That's the thing, is I'm putting him more with the RV era. I compare him more to Villapoto because even if you look at the timelines in the birthdays again, Stewart and Pastrana were almost identical. They come out at 16 in Supercross. They're unbelievable, but it's messy. Then they win the title that summer at 16. Then they come back at 17 and win Supercross. So for me, Pastrana and Stewart are the two, I would say, the freak shows of the world as far as what they were able to do right out of the gate. I feel like Jett is more on the lines of like RV, where he's 17. It took a little bit longer than those guys, but he is still early. Like, again, he's the youngest. He's probably the youngest guy in the gate.
RV raced 2 nationals when he turned pro, the Binghamton and Steel City.
I think so.
Yeah, and then
Carmichael has to be in there too. I mean, he wins his second ever outdoor race at Gatorback.
Yeah,
and wins the title that year.
And same thing in Supercross. He was really messy that first year. Ferry worked him.
How are you going to beat Tim Ferry
all winter?
How are you going to beat Tim Ferry?
I look at Jett and I'm like, man, he's probably the youngest guy on the gate. There's 40 riders in the 250 class. I don't think anyone's younger than him. And he was winning the points up until this last Saturday. That's insane to me. Well, and we don't see that. And then it goes back to the eras. I know they're all different and all, but, I mean, Stu, Pastrana, Ricky, even Bradshaw, were they on – well, Bradshaw's different because he was on a 252-stroke, but were these guys on 52-horsepower bikes back then? That's – you're talking about a 17-year-old kid who's having to comprehend –
That's all relative.
Not really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You can
ride a 120
bike makes more power than Stu's. So
but I'm just saying the ability, the talent, again, the generational talent I talk about, the ability to ride a 52-horsepower bike when you're in high school and make it look like that, nobody.
Someone on snowboard said generational talent. Generational.
That is incredible, and I will be using that all winter long.
Philip on snowboard.
So you can't compare eras. It's not fair.
The 52 horsepower bike, to me, that doesn't carry any weight. Like, if you're not old enough to race the bike, then don't race it. Like,
I know, but he is, and he is winning the points up until Saturday.
And I don't think they're making 52 horsepower anyways.
Okay, so probably 50 on those ones, maybe 49.
No, I don't think so.
Depending on the starts, I don't know. But yeah, that's for me. Again, when it comes down to kind of your feelings on someone, it's all subjective. And for me, he is very rare. He's one of the rare ones. That's all.
I have ruled, and I rule with JT. Judge Matthes. There is a Judge Matthes.
I feel like a month ago that was already decided. So
maybe
that's fine. I just want you to name the last 17-year-old to win 3 Supercrosses, the East-West Showdown, and lead the Nationals through 5 rounds. Just name that, and then where's the gap in time, and then tell me that's not a generational talent. I mean, Joe Shimoda and Max Vohland are older than Jett, and they're doing pretty dang good. But they're not winning 3 races and leading the championship at the age of 17. And we'd be pretty proud of Joe, right? Mm-hmm. Joe's 18 or 19.
Right.
We'd be like, damn, that's really good. Well, Jett was leading the championship till Saturday.
I mean, some of these guys weren't allowed to turn pro at 15. Like, I don't know what you want from them when they're not allowed to turn pro. I mean, some of these guys won the outdoor championship their first try. Like, first go around, they win the outdoor championship. So I don't know. I mean, I could start naming off guys like Tomacs and RVs, and you just go down the list. There are guys that won their first go-round.
I think Marty Smith won his first national.
Jett to Marty Smith.
Marty was 16 or 17.
I know, but it's
all relative to the era.
It is, but the eras are so different. You can't compare the eras. Again, I mean, we're talking about a 17-year-old kid.
Wayne Gretzky to.
It's a different sport. Technology isn't involved in hockey.
Okay.
Not at the same level.
Okay.
Basketball, football, you can't do it with those either. When it comes to dirt bikes, where these bikes are putting out, 15 horsepower? I mean, how much did Stu's 125 had back in the day?
Those had low 40s.
Really?
Yeah.
Back in 02?
I mean, if you think that Stu wouldn't have gone faster,
no, he would. Oh, he would have.
Honda 250F.
Oh, he would have.
I don't know what
he would have. But again, what I'm saying is that's what makes Jett pretty special.
Remember when they gave Stu a 4-stroke, 254-stroke? Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember. I remember when he gave him a 252-stroke.
He only won by like a minute.
That was it. But again, and I just think that he is He's rare, and I think he's a generational talent. And if he wins I do. That's my term, and I'm sticking to it. And
well, you got to thank Philip. Philip said that.
Generational talent.
Generational.
So at what point is your confidence shaken in this term? Like he didn't win the Supercross championship. He wasn't he wasn't really second in the championship outside of an injury.
So that's 2 years in a row he's lost Supercross.
Mm-hmm.
Now
he lost outdoor championship.
I mean, again,
and
that's where the results is part of it, but it's also the visual. I mean, we're talking about a 16-year-old kid last year at Anaheim that almost beat two-time Supercross champ Dylan Ferrandis at 26 years old, who is now dominating the 450 outdoors. Jett almost beat him at 16 at Anaheim.
In one race, yes.
So,
there was other races,
I know, but
right? They raced other races?
I know they did. They did, but I'm saying on the visual side, when you watch a kid at that age, that good, he's not just okay. That's very special. You don't see that. When was the last time we saw that?
There's a difference between just okay and what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, you would say Joe is having a great start to his career. I mean, that's what I'm saying is Jalik. I mean, these guys are all doing pretty dang good for their age of 19.
He's a special talent. He's a special talent. He's got the world in front of him, but he is not on the level.
Then when is the last person to look like this at this age, indoor and outdoor, and have the results to go with it?
But Stu's results are better. Michael Lessie's starts outdoors are better. RC's outdoors RVs
okay, so you're
better.
talking 15 years ago.
But I'm just saying, like,
at the most recent.
But you just said, like, you put two things in there. You said results and a riding style, or the things he's doing,
and talent, just obvious talent.
I would say Roczen was doing the same things that Jett is doing, results wise, winning some races, top 3 in championships. I don't see any real difference from what Roczen was doing.
I mean, Roczen got second at Seattle. He was 18, right? 17 or 18 when he jumped in.
On a 350.
Yeah. Okay, so and how old is he? 26. So we're talking 9 years ago. Two guys that probably will never race each other. I feel like that's a generation in the sport. If guys are never going to race each other, you can't put them in the same generation.
But you're saying you got to go back 15 years to find somebody that was doing this, and I don't believe that to be true.
Okay, then go back 9. It's a long time since we've seen someone like this.
We have Derek on 3. He's going to shut you down, he says. Derek, go ahead. Shut down Daniel Blair.
Well, I mean, like, the whole generational thing is something that blows people's minds for, like, a long term. So, like, 51 horsepower, 250F means nothing. Like, 38 horsepower kicks, 125, jumping Larocco's leap will live on forever. That's a generation. Like, we will remember that forever. Jett being a really good rider and smooth, and it's not going to last. Like, I mean, 10 years from now, we're not going to look back and think this blew our mind. It's good. He's a great
So
rider.
it'll never happen again? We can never, ever have a generational talent ever again in the sport, ever, because they can't jump Larocco's leap on a 125?
That's the thing about generational talent. Like, in order to be at that level, you have to be so much ahead of what everyone else is that you're remembered for a generation. Ricky, Stu, McGrath, these people that were, like, they're legends, and that's why they're a generational talent. He is good, but he's also in a weak field compared to a lot of years. And you want to talk stats, I don't think he's that far ahead of Justin Cooper in his early 2-3 years. And Justin Cooper is not a generational
Justin Cooper
talent.
turned pro at 20. Where will Jett be at 20? In the 450 class already for a year or two?
How many years you're pro versus how old you turn pro at? I mean, like,
no, because the human brain is a human brain. I don't care. If you're 17, you're 17. You've only lived so much. You're 17 years old. I mean, even Dino. Look how rad Dino is. He won the outdoor title at 19 years old. When he was 17, Jett's age, he was racing the Canadian Nationals. Jett is leading the 250 outdoor championship through 5 rounds at the same age that Dean, who was incredible, was racing the Canadian Nationals. That's what I'm saying. Go look through the list right now in the top 15, and I want you to tell me where all these guys were at 17. None of them are even close.
In 3 years?
Doesn't matter. I don't do the gate drops.
You don't put any weight into how many seasons they race. Only the age.
Only the age.
Okay. Well, you can have that opinion, but that doesn't mean that everybody agrees with that opinion.
3 wins. That's not that impressive.
I think he's super impressive. I think he's incredibly impressive. I just think that the place that Daniel wants to put him, he hasn't earned that yet.
Did Ralph?
Yeah,
did Ralph put you up to this?
That's the generational thing. Like, a generational talent blows people's minds. people on the side of the track with their jaw hanging down to the fence, and they go home and they talk about how amazing it was.
I think Derek's got a fair point. Like, does Jett make you do that?
Yeah. When you watch him ride and you put the age to it, it's mind-blowing. He's 17. He should be graduating high school.
Tattooed across your
I think
forehead,
his riding
because
style is
that's all you got
beautiful.
right now.
Well, because you grow up in an age group. I mean, look at his age group. Like, that's what I'm saying. I want to go 5 years, the last 5 years. Who at that age was looked anything like this? I mean,
But no one's
Roxon
more
maybe
pro
9
than
years
he
ago. Maybe Roxon, maybe 9 years ago.
But
How
no
about
one
Forkner
was
when he
allowed
came
to
in?
turn pro at the age that Jett was. So it's not even that's apples to oranges.
They could have turned pro. They were not allowed to.
Yeah, okay. Ken Roxon did. He was a world champion. Okay. There you go.
Or hurlings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I mean,
An outdoor. I mean, indoor they weren't doing
yeah,
that.
they don't have Supercross in Germany.
I don't.
He was my
It's not
teammate in the
at
German
all.
Supercrosses one year on an 85.
You understand my point.
I know.
Derek, thanks for the call, man. I think you
Yeah.
make some good points. Thanks, man.
Okay, so all right,
thanks,
then
guys.
at the best I could do is get off the word generational talent
And go to generational?
and bring it out. Yeah, just take it to generational talent and just say he is rare. I'll settle at that. But there's been no one like him since maybe Roxon, but more like RV, who at that age is this good. It's not even close.
I think he's great, but I think for you to end up being right,
I mean, I think
Tomac,
Tomac.
he's got a lot to do. Like, he's got
I-
to win. He needs to win this title, and he absolutely needs to win Supercross next year, because that would be his third season in 250 Supercross. And if he doesn't win, you're going to have a really hard time making your case at that point.
I mean, again, the baddest dude in the sport right now, I think, is probably Eli Tomac in the last 5 years. And at 17, I think he was at Oak Hill. He was a racing amateurs A. So again, I don't understand how this kid at this age, who's not even an adult, isn't looked at for what it is, which is
All right. Well, okay.
generational to me, because there's nobody he's racing with that's even close to what he is at this age.
Oh, okay, goddamn.
So that's
It
that's
seems like
that's my
Tomac,
argument.
It seems like Tomac was pretty ready. That's all I'm going to say. It looked like he was pretty ready to turn pro.
All right. Let's move. Shall we move on?
Yeah, it's a subjective debate, and I'm just higher. That's all. I'm higher than J. And I know
You are
JT's.
high.
You're high, all right.
I know
Yeah.
JT is high on him, but you want to
am.
see him see it through, and not for me. If he wins the outdoor title, then I will be 10 times more stubborn than I am right now.
Oh yeah, you will be.
But because then the stats will be close to what I'm saying.
Right.
All I'm saying is just let it play out before we start putting labels on him yet, because I just think those labels should be held to an extremely high standard, and
That's right.
I think they got to be earned. That's all. And he looks like he's on a path to earn it, but just let it play out.
No shit, asshole.
RV weighs in.
All right.
All right, Sam.